This is Lyle and Garry here with you again. We're, as you probably remember from our last call, we're talking about the alignment model. The alignment model is looking at three different things: our values, our goals, and our actions. And sometimes those get misaligned. So the importance of doing this is to try to line these three things up in sequence with each other. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about the values exercise. That's where this all starts. How do we determine what's most important? So we have a stack of cards that all have words on them, and the process is to whittle down through these stack of words and define what are the 5 most important things to you. From there, once we have defined our values, it's much easier to start talking about what's your goals and what actions should follow. So Garry, as you've seen this play out in some practical situations, what are some of your observations?
Well, my first observation is the values exercise. It can feel a little funny at first. We're looking at all these words, we're parsing one with another. They might be really similar, and at the time, it seems like, are we sure this is worth the time? Are we sure this is going to mean something down the road? But what we see is when we do the values exercise, it sets the framework for what we've said is most important to us when we don't have to be in the midst of a financial decision. Because when we're in the middle of a financial decision, there's all sorts of different emotions pulling us one way or another. There's different factors that are pulling us one way or another. And having something that is lasting, something that you did when you were focused on your values, helps us revisit what's most important to us. And I think the really interesting thing about the exercise is it helps us see the potential conflicts we're going to have when we're trying to make a financial decision, because some values are going to be in contrast with others, either for us individually, but especially when we have a couple and a family. We might have one set of values here with one spouse and one set of values with another, and we need to merge those together and also see ahead where they might cause some conflict or just some difficulty in figuring out what the right direction was. I was sitting with some clients just a few months ago. They were making a pretty big financial decision, a pretty big and important one, focused on one of the spouses, but included them both. And we revisited this values exercise that they had done over a year ago, and it was really helpful to get them both on track as to what they together decided were most important to them, and not be swayed by what's happening right in front of them today, because that's of course our natural tendency. So while I think that's the most important part of how we see it play out in real life, is instead of being swayed by what's right in front of us, we can go back to something that we know we've decided ahead of time is important and is lasting.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that, Garry. So just to recap, the alignment model, our values, our goals, and our actions. And we're talking today about thinking about what's most important to us, the values. So I encourage you to do that. Take some time, think about what's really most important. And we would love to do this exercise with you. If you'd like to, let us know, and we'd be happy to do that.